All right, all right, all right. Let's go. We are live with Amar from Tashi. Amar, you look very serious, bro. Or okay, you're there.
I had three back-to-back investor calls, 10:30 p.m., 11 p.m., 11:30 p.m. So and now I'm hopping on with you. I've just been answering super technical questions to SF-based funds because we were there for 2 weeks, and a lot of those guys I just got back over the weekend. So as soon as I got over the jet lag, I've had calls and following SF timing still. So it's good timing. But good to
Yeah,
see you again, bro. How you doing, man? Long time.
good, good. Buddy, can you just have some light on your face because everything around you is pixelating bad. So when we clip it, no, and when we make those small little clips, the video quality is going to be very bad. The same thing happened with Mate yesterday. Mate is the co-founder of Bitcoin.com. He said some amazing stuff about Bitcoin Cash. He said some amazing stuff about his journey with Roger Work and so on. But unfortunately, all his the clips, he's just looking like this. Okay, much better. If you can face
Okay.
the light somehow, if the light is behind you or like have the light face towards you somehow, if you can.
Give me one
I'm not
sec.
asking you to put the bulb down, but if you can somehow figure it out. So,
There we
ladies
go.
and gentlemen,
Okay.
there is Tashi, CEO Amar, right there, and we have one more guy coming in. Let's see. There he is.
Hello, brother. What's up?
What's up?
Yo,
Why is your
Sam.
voice getting
Nice to meet you.
so muffled? You're still in China.
I'm still in China, guys.
Can you hear him properly, Amar?
I can. There's a echo after his voice.
Yeah. Can you just log in and log out? I'm sure he's on the VPN, I'm guessing. Yeah,
Is
let
it
me
better
check.
now?
Can you? No, there's an echo.
Or
So can you just leave the link and join in again?
yeah. Or I'll put on my headphones. 1 minute.
Yeah, on the headphones, but uh, yeah.
Okay, let me.
Okay, great. I was going to say good riddance, but then he's a friend and a guest. That noise. Like even if it is your own voice, it kind of really eats you up. So you were in the most amazing, controversial Web3 event in the longest time.
Which one
Is
is
it
that?
better
I
now?
was at Consensus in Miami.
Why headphone? इतना पैसा
Yeah.
अपना headphone लिया गया.
एक मिनट हेडफोन बहुत है यार. I've packed my bags. I have my flight in the next
This guy has given out free
1
headphones
minute.
to thousands of people.
He's
Great.
grown and he's become fitter, but
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us, first thing, how was 11?
Oh, now I get it. So I actually walked in there. I got there, and so we know the TVV guys for a long time. And I reached there at 9 p.m. and there was already a long queue, like which is insane. And 9 p.m. there was a queue of like, 100 people standing, right? So I said hi to both Toby and Brent, and then post that, we was like, okay, we found the VIP line, which was a bit shorter, so fine. Got in 5 minutes, and at like 9:30 we must be inside. Like I actually bought one of the 11 hats because I was like, dude, this is the cool club. Went in, had one drink. We knew a few people who had tables there, and like it was packed. Like at 9:30 p.m. the place was packed, but there were no dancers. So I didn't get to see some of the exciting moments that got published. There was uh, like a boring nightclub party that was happening, but like quite packed still by 9:30 standards. By 10 o'clock, I was like done because we were actually taking part in Pitch Fest, and we had won the semi-finals that day. And the next day, I had my finals pitch, so I definitely didn't want to. One of the guys actually got stayed there till 5 a.m. and ended up missing the pitch and had to send one of his colleagues in because he was hungover. So I didn't want to pull one of those. So I left at like about 10 p.m. And when I stepped out, there was a three-line block. Like literally, there was like a line for 3 blocks. Like you walked around the club one side, walked around the club to the second side because I wanted to find a spot where there was no people to book a cab. Walked around the club third side. Then I found a spot where like I found a pizza joint. So I ended up going there, ordering pizza, and it had been rated the best pizza by Dave Portnoy. So I was like, chalo, might as well give this a shot. But three lines long, and I asked a lot of people. I was like, guys, I have no idea what the craze around this is, and it's not like they were young kids. It's not like the 20-year-olds were lining up, right? Like there were the 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-olds, all queued up. Everyone was super excited. I think they I didn't know that there were going to be tons of belly dancers in there. Otherwise, maybe I would have stayed on a bit longer. But like knowing, like seeing the amount of crowd, I was very happy that I left. It was chaos, full chaos.
After listening to you, since I know both of you personally, I can understand the kind of FOMO that Sam is going through sitting in China, that
Yeah.
he wasn't in Miami for consensus at 11. But some Sam, can you hear me?
I had a
Because
much better time in China.
so are you saying
Yeah, am
Toby's
I audible
event?
now? Is it better?
Yeah, yeah.
My headphones on.
Are you saying Toby's event? Sorry, China is better than Toby's event. Are you saying that
No, no.
on a live stream?
The problem with Toby's event is no, no. The Toby's event is crazy. I have been to Singapore. As Amar has said, it tends to get too crowded. So until and unless you are like a passionate, party guy and loves to dance, sometimes it's not the best place for you.
So, by the way, 11 is not really a dance club. It is apparently a strip club and one of the best in the world. And a lot of crypto events have happened there in the past. This is not the
Oh,
first
okay.
one. That is why I said, Sam must be getting FOMO, but clearly he's having a ball in China. Sam,
Yeah.
can you sit
So
near a
then
Wi-Fi router?
uh,
Because you're blur. Amar is now very clear and
uh,
everything. Can you like figure out where is the Wi-Fi router and like, just
one
plonk
minute, one
yourself
minute.
there? Amar, I'm a bit embarrassed because I know you for a while and I don't know exactly what this Tashi does. When I spoke to you the other day and you said robotics, I'm like, shit, I didn't know this.
Yeah,
Please,
that's also.
in a few words, break this down for us.
So I'll add the
Is it
more than a few words because it'll help clarify why you have that doubt, and that'll give some time for Sam to also figure out his internet. So we built our own consensus protocol that allows devices to stay in sync with each other, and we've been building this for almost 4 years now,
I
right?
remember you
And
telling me this in Sentosa a couple of
yes.
years ago.
So
Yes.
correct. So that time we would applied this to gaming. So we were solving multiplayer serverless gaming, and the tech has remained the same, which is same protocol, same coordination, blah blah blah. But now we're applying it to robotics and drones. So how do you have 100 drones or 100 robots stay in sync with each other without any servers? So it's just the application layer has changed, and because obviously everyone's excited by robots, people are more excited about Tashi now.
Very, very interesting. And is there any Web3 or crypto angle to this?
100%. So we have two parts to what we built. One is this consensus protocol, which is obviously very Web3 in nature, but we've also built like an edge compute network, which is a deep in, where we have 65,000 people around the world running Tashi nodes offering edge compute to these private mesh networks that the core protocol enables. So that is built on top of Solana. So if you can right now go on deepin.tashi.network, download and run your own node on your own device. At some point, we will have a token launch as well, so you earn rewards, and that's why like the community is running these nodes and quite excited by this. We also are in the midst of productizing this, so we should have revenue running through the protocol pretty soon. So it's not just token rewards that people will be earning. Within the next month or so, people will start earning actual money via revenue from running these nodes. And that's kind of the real goal, right? So we've not launched our token yet because we want to build a real revenue flywheel into the network before launching.
Is it better now, Weber?
Much better. Much better. Don't move from
Much
there.
better.
Just don't move from
Is
there.
voice audible, or should I connect to
Yes, great.
headphones?
No, perfect. Everything is great.
Perfect.
At last,
Hmm.
your VPN and your Wi-Fi and our stream is in sync.
भाई चाइना में इतना प्रॉब्लम है ना ये
There we go, just as you said.
I think so.
This is, I think this, I will. This is a clip that needs to go on.
I know.
This is
Spoke
the
too
short
early.
clip that needs to be published. Yeah.
So, tell us that, while building Tashi, the coordination layer for robotics and drones, I'm saying drains
This is
and
what happens
drones,
when people
was the
keeps
cool.
coming and leaving.
So I can see him on the stage, like in the
Okay.
backstage. So once I can see his camera on and all of that, I'll
Yeah.
bring him up. In fact, I
Right.
think he can hear me. So, the other reason of getting Sam over here was I texted Sam and I asked him what's new. And he said, boss, robotics. I'm like,
He's in
interesting.
China right now, so that makes sense.
Yes, yeah, okay, आ गया. जाना नहीं.
अरे नहीं जा रहा हूँ भाई मैं
Okay, good.
यहाँ पे ना to connect on internet is a hassle, man. It's like I have 3 phones. I have a China phone, I have a burner phone, and somehow I'm getting connected.
See, you give out phones and headphones and watches to people like you are the Madwadi Santa Claus, right? So
Yeah, but I don't give out internet है भाई भाई internet का problem mobile और headphone का
scale up.
problem नहीं है
That's exactly where I was coming. Scale up. give people 10 GB of data.
maybe we have to
I
give
was
free
just
VPN
talking.
also.
I was just talking you, Sam. Your photo in your LinkedIn is at Raffles Place in Singapore. Were you based here at some
Yeah,
point?
yes. I
All
used
right.
to work, Amar, before I ventured into entrepreneurship. I was working in Singapore for 3 years. I'm actually a chartered accountant by profession. I did my MBA,
No way.
from NMIMS and Cornell. So,
I'm also a chartered accountant.
क्या बात है यार, 2 chartered accountants in crypto.
Yeah. This is
And
so
That's
Vaibhav is
that,
like she's shaking his head. He's like, "Ye to I don't know. I couldn't even have planned this."
boss,
you know,
मैं
that
school dropout. मेरे को CA का full form भी नहीं मालूम है. But then,
भाई अभी school
there's another CA associated with Sam's company, by the way. Bol.
Cool.
This is your
क्या
opportunity. I said there's another CA who's invested in your company.
another CN, I don't remember.
Aman Gupta.
Aman, yes, Aman Gupta, yes, he's also C. मेरे को क्या है ना
Aman,
equity और crypto में
from both.
confusion हो जाता है.
So I'll tell you the quick story. Aman Gupta from Boat invested in his company not because he met him outside somewhere, but he actually went to Shark Tank India and gave out a great pitch, and that's how he got the investment. Because I asked him after that, did you get the money in the bank? He said, yes, we have got it. Because generally deals that go through on TV don't actually happen in real. Sam, you tell me, what are you doing in robotics? I heard what Amar is doing, but what are you planning to do, looking to do? Tell us that.
So basically, as you know, we are Growfitter, and we already have a ecosystem where we have 3 million users. So now we wanted to basically, offer
some real world synergies with robotics. So we basically are actually launching these robotic cafes, healthy cafes where actually a robot can make a healthy coffee for you, or a healthy orange juice or a mocktail for you. So actually I'd come for the Canton Fair. Unlike the fantasy world of crypto events, I've understood the real world events are very very different. And I'm not able to actually come out of the crypto world. I mean, crypto world is so beautiful, man. I mean, the real world is pretty competitive and you know there is no fun in these kind of events. But I think China is living in 2035. I mean, the kind of innovation these guys are doing. I actually gone to a robot store, and the kind of innovations they have in robotics is next level.
Amazing. But then, since both of you are in the robotic space, and for me, it'll be very interesting because I earlier had a live stream with the growth head of Singularity Net, and these guys were the first guys to actually release a robot that actually has a citizenship of which country I don't remember, but Sofia. If I'm
Yeah.
sure you guys would recollect.
So we're actually
So I was,
partners. I actually did a podcast with Dr. Ben
oh, you
at
did.
Consensus in Hong Kong, and so that was for a company called Hanson Robotics, and Dr. Ben was chief scientist over there, and now they're building their own robots called Mind Children, which they're looking to launch, and we're actually partnering with them to run Tashi as the coordination layer for their Mind Children robots. But yeah, like I think the world has kind of come a long way from, I would say, where Sophia was launched, but it's still like a far away reality from having robots in our houses, right? So I think there's an excitement around what Elon is going around and pitching Optimus to be, but for each Optimus device to become scalable and show up at scale is more than 5 years away, right? But I think China is still the future because I mean, there's many more things other than humanoids that are already there. I was there 6 months back, and it's crazy. Like I mean, like think about more the simple stuff. Like we're all from India, right? We've faced pollution. China faced a bigger pollution challenge before India. And Sam, I'm sure you can attest. At least when I was there 6 months back, the AQI across, like I was in Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Hangzhou. Across three cities, the AQI was 25, and it
No,
used to
man. I
be
mean,
five.
I'm absolute. That's what I'm telling you. Like now, in fact, coincidentally, you spoke about Elon Musk. So when I was in China, the entire, Avengers team with Trump was in China. Trump had come with all the big CEOs, right from Tim Cook to Elon Musk to, I mean, there was this funny story. They had one place left, so they invited, Han Sung of Nvidia also. So right now China is living at least 20 years ahead of India, I think. I mean, in not just in terms of AQI, I mean in terms of even just ordering a coffee, like in Mumbai, or even in Dubai, you have to go to Starbucks, you have to tell him 10 things. I want fat milk, low milk, and so expensive. They have this app called Luckin Coffee. You just place the order, the coffee is just for like $1.5, and you don't have to talk to anyone. Put in your order, go there, your coffee is ready. You just scan your QR code and you get your coffee. So like they've made everything so easy and so simple. Even the cabs, even the hotels. So that shows that these guys are working on the ground for real problems.
No, absolutely. Let me also just tell this to all our viewers who are watching us that Luckin Coffee is the world's fastest growing franchise of cafes. It is beaten Starbucks in miles and pounds. I can't remember the exact figure, but I read somewhere that they're opening about 100 odd stores a day.
Yeah, there are
Luckin
26,000 stores overall in China.
Yeah. So, the way they are growing, and since in fact, this is the first time that three Indians are together on a live stream, and I want to tell this to all our fellow Indian brothers: like, don't buy into the media, because the thing is, unfortunately, we always thought, and I say this with a lot of pain, because even I've been to China. Uh, we have always thought that the stuff that we get in China is cheap, the stuff that we get in China is maybe worth 100 rupees. And we never really realized in that era, China grew in leaps and bounds. The cleanliness on the streets, the civic sense somehow they have. I don't know how. It was known to be the most populous country in the world, but the civic sense they have. Even like you go into a small little thela of theirs, which is like a roadside food joint. It's clean. It's clean and everything. I think I was the only one who was carrying cash in China. Everybody else was just using Alipay and
WeChat Pay,
WeChat.
WeChat.
Though I think to a certain extent that is also in India. We have the UPI now, but then like we Indians have to really look at China as a model because we are similar in terms of the population, in terms of the size, and also in terms of the mindset, right? We will have a very similar mindset. Talking about mindset, since both of you live and travel a lot, and especially you, Amar, you live out of India. Whenever I've traveled, and I'm sure the three of us have met in different parts of the world earlier, have you seen a reverse racism between Indians, between fellow Indians?
Oh, I think India is by
No, I'm saying
far one
reverse.
of the.
I'm using the word reverse racism. So if you come into a cool party that I'm there and I'm like, how is this Sardarji at this party?
Yeah, yeah, that's
What
what
the
I'm
hell?
saying. So I think inherently Indians are very racist, and they are the most racist towards other Indians. So there is this thing like, if you go like, if you show up in south of France and you see another brown person there, you'll be like, "Man, sure, like, sorry, I shouldn't be using the
Oh,
word,
good,
but
good,
like,
good. No,
what are
no,
you doing
no.
that? But like, the whole idea is, what is this guy doing here? Yeah, like I was the cool guy, I was the brown guy in this party. Was so, and I think this goes to another concept, like to what we were talking about, and big difference between India and China, which my dad actually taught me about. Like Indians have this unfortunate mentality, which, like he told, describes as Indian crabs. That if you put like a bunch of crabs in a bucket, and one crab starts to crawl out, the other crab will pull the other one down. Versus in China, if you go and like, I don't know, Sam, or if Vaibhav, if you've been there, that was your experience. It was definitely mine. Every Chinese person is helping the other Chinese person. If you say like, I'm launching my business, they will say, oh yeah, what are you launching? Let me help you. Let me connect you with this guy. Let me connect you with that guy. The Indian guys are quite the opposite. It's, oh, you're launching a business, ये तो पक्का fail है. ये तो चलने ही नहीं वाला है. Or ये तो like, like there is nothing. And even if you say, like if somebody will say it, I'll help you, they really don't mean it. They will actually not do anything, right? So there is such a big gap. Like, if I had gone to, and like the reason crypto is what it is today is because of China, right? It's because of how much money that China took out in the early first 5-10 years. But that only happened because of the ecosystem and the trust that they have with each other. That people are like, oh, you're doing this, I'll support you, let's build on top of this, let's go. With Indians, it's quite the opposite, right? Like it's very much a sad scenario. And I think, to what you were saying, the biggest change that Indians need, or India needs, is not about, like, it's not a political thing, it's not nothing else. It's just a factor of learn to trust and support each other, right? And there's obviously a small pocket of people, right? Like, so you say are fall in an exceptional category where that happens, but I'm talking about the broad number of people, right? I'm talking about the masses. Like 80 to 90% Indians are very happy when somebody fails, which is the sad scenario, right? So if you look at the commonality between both Americans and Chinese people, which are the most successful nations in the world today, they actually celebrate success of others. And I think that is a key thing that's required, that will allow India to actually achieve its potential, which right now I think at a spiritual level is significantly missing.
No,
Very
no,
well
I
said.
100% agree. And Vaibhav, you were talking about mindset. This is my first trip in China. I really thought people must be quite racist, and this is an alien world. Nothing works. No Google, no YouTube. But I'm telling you, this is one of the best countries, and the kind of love people get. People have actually walked with me for almost half a kilometer to show me where the metro station is or where this store is, and people are so helpful. And as Amar said, the problem is, again, I get a lot of, I now I do a lot of content also online, so sometimes I get some comments, you're talking too good about China, you're Indian. But we have to understand, we have to compare with someone who's better than us, and these guys are
Give
actually
credit where it is
working on
due.
the.
I was saying give
Hmm?
credit where it is due. You have to give the
Exactly,
credit.
you can't. I mean, the problem in our mindset is, as Amar said, that we carry a lot of baggage with us. We think, what will the world think of us? This guy is doing better. My aunt's son is doing better, or he's become an entrepreneur, or now he's a content creator. And the reason we want others to fail is because we overthink a lot. I've seen Chinese, they like something, they will go and execute and build it immediately. They're not going to wait कि यार लोग क्या बोलेंगे. And the government also is so supportive that they have set the infrastructure for people, and whether you are successful or you're going to fail is a different mindset, but they are basically working on execution. I mean, I had been to the robot store, Vaibhav. I was mind blown. I mean, they have now robot in hospitals. They have, in fact, in Shenzhen, you are still talking about Elon Musk, Optimus, and all those things. They're still in production. You can actually call a robot at your home to clean, and he actually does. And I've gone to Huawei stores. I mean, the kind of innovation, that drag
Wait,
and
wait, is
drop
this
feature,
live?
their
Is this
cars,
live? Is this service live?
everything is live. The Unitary robot, is next level. I mean, I've actually gone. So I told him, can I just change the face of the Unitary robot and show it's made in India? He's like, everything can be done.
Hey, hey, hey! You can't do that. People have already done that earlier and become world famous. The girl goes
I,
to the
I, I, I
university.
remember, there's this famous, Galgotia University, they had bought those dogs from China and claimed to be theirs. So,
No,
I was just, being
those were
sarcastic.
cardboard claims.
Sorry,
But
Amar.
I've understood that.
Bolo, bolo, bolo. Finish it, Sam.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, that these guys, and gone are those days where you say ki chale to chand tak warna raat tak. Chinese products are very good. They are now no more cheap, they're expensive. And I've actually placed an order for one of the robotic machines. So those machines are pretty expensive, but they are actually building real use case scenarios. It's not just they're building some robots for some sci-fi movie. They have now real robots. I mean, they are not AI robots, but they are robots which, just like a mannequin, you can have in a gym, you can have in a mall. They can actually move, they can actually talk. I mean, certainly they are not so advanced, but they've actually started producing I can actually buy a robot for $4,000 now in China, and I actually placed an order for one of the robots.
But Amar, tell me, in India, where we already have a massive problem of opportunities, uh, do you think this is going to add help the ecosystem, or what do you think is going to happen? Because with AI, we have seen this, like, jobs currently that exist will not exist in another 3 years, or maybe even now. Like, I don't need a VA any longer. I've got my Annie Mocha Minds who kind of takes care of everything, which is AI agents, and then I have like a lot of these stuff that I don't really need to be bothered. Do you do you think that this is going to cause a massive destruction in the economy, with adding with the robots? Do you think this is going to happen? Like, how do you look at it? Because you're working at a very ground level, in terms of with the connecting layer. Tell me that. What is your take?
So my general view is that going back to the Luddites, which was in the 1600s, when the first mills were made, and people in England were complaining about that and said that this is anti-human. Well, let's take this away. Since then, like the mindset of humans has been that anything that replaces what's popular today is a bad thing, because I think 100% disruption will happen. Like, there is no doubt about that. But disruption isn't necessarily a bad thing, and disruption also doesn't necessarily mean that there is going to be chaos. Sorry, disruption can lead to chaos, but disruption doesn't necessarily mean that everything is fully negative, right? So I think what happens is that people always have a certain amount of fear when there is disruption and when there is change. But change is just part of normal life, right? So if you think about, even when the computer became pretty normal, the typist got displaced, right? So there's always 100 kind of things that have already happened and will continue to happen. The question which I think most people don't have an answer to is, what will people do? Right? I think that's the real question. So the people who get disrupted, what will they do? So I think that is the phase that we are in right now, where the people who will lose their jobs, they will start using AI and new opportunities will pop up. And right now, I think the average person doesn't know what that looks like. If you think about it, like, you're a content creator, how many content creators existed 20 years ago in the world, right? But given the amount of tools and technology that exists, almost everyone's become a content creator. I think 20 years down the line, like, that number will 5x, right? So I think, and that will become that everyone will become a micro entrepreneur in some ways, and there's many other things that will happen in part of that process. But it's going to be an interesting thing to see how that plays out, and many new jobs will pop up, right? We're already seeing, like, the number one job that most companies are hiring for is actually AI implementing person, right? Like, literally, if you look at, like, this JD didn't exist 2 years ago. Like, it
In
wasn't
fact,
even a thing.
OpenAI has actually agreed to partner with companies. They would come in, they would create the entire AI workflow for $4 million, and AI, and
There you go.
imagine OpenAI will send in their top engineers to do so.
There you go. So
No, no,
like,
but
these are things that it's completely mind blowing, that, because these things didn't exist, right? So the beauty about humans versus AI is that in the human world, there is possibilities that humans cannot think about. AIs operate on data sets. Data sets are always backward looking, which is fixed things that we know, and we know what can happen. So that's what agents can do, and that's what AI can do. Humans can do things that even we don't know about, right? Because we're connected to something way more powerful and divine than we are. And those possibilities will only unfold on their own in the next couple of years. So it's quite interesting. The goal, I think, I personally have is to, allow people to say, keep up with the times and keep trying new things, and new opportunities will naturally come with that.
Sam,
no, no, but
so
I
you,
think, Amar, I have a difference of opinion here, because I'm in China right now. Driverless cars are a real thing. Forget the white collar jobs. Blue collar jobs is very scary. Am I audible, Weber?
The
that
spot
place
you
was
were in was
perfect.
pretty good. Yeah.
That spot was perfect. The
Huh?
Vastu of that spot was 100 on 100.
Okay, okay. Now, how about now?
Yeah, better, better. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm saying forget the white collar jobs. Right now I'm in China, and driverless car is a real thing. I just sat in driverless car in Shenzhen. Now they have drone delivery. So imagine, like, in Shenzhen, they have these drones which actually gives the delivery. There's a guy who sits in the building, so you don't need any drivers anymore. So there is, the day is not far when Zepto and Zomato can actually copy this model in hotels. Now you have these robots that do delivery. So going forward, Taj, HCL, all these hotels, once they adopt all these robotics and AI, the the blue collar jobs at a very high risk. So I don't know how is that. I mean, drivers, I mean, I think the highest number of employment is through driving. So how is that going to unfold is very scary at this point.
So, I
You
mean,
know,
I fully hear you. I was in SF and I sat in the driverless cars too, both Teslas and Waymos. Two things, right? One is, I think people always like to have, humans in general have a binary thinking process, zero and one, right? That's why we build computer systems that also operate in zero and ones, right? Because, like, it's just easy to process. But life happens not in zero and one, it happens in slow mode, right? It's somewhere always in the middle. It's point 0.1, point 0.2, point 0.3, point 0.4, point 0.5, point 0.6. So if there's like 150, 1.5 billion people in India, out of which maybe, I don't know, say 50 million drivers exist, those 50 million drivers are not getting displaced tomorrow, right? If this happened tomorrow, for sure it's a problem, right? But if you think about the scale at which driverless cars will get built, then they will get deployed. Then those cars need to be cheaper than the cost of having a driver. Then they need to scale across tier one, tier two, tier three cities in India. That's a slow drawn process, right? So it's not something, so people worry about these things because they think about what we see, but what we see as technology people isn't a reality, right? Like when say Vaibhav says he has AI agents, think about this. I was in SF, right? Like, and I just do this as a general thought test for myself. I asked everyone that I was meeting in SF because I had a thesis that my guess is 0.001% of the world is right now running AI agents, right? So I was like, okay, I'm in SF. Let me understand, which is like the tech epicenter of the world. How many people do I meet that run AI agents? Let me tell you, my answer was still less than 1%, right? And I'm meeting only super tech guys who are in the space. Everyone's talking about it. Of course, everybody understands it. They can say the words, but who has run a full-fledged AI agent? Not like just gone into Chat GPT and done a chat. So that gap between talking about a technology, becoming real in the first base users, then getting into some next level of adoption, then becoming ubiquitous is a slow process. So people kind of think about the doom and gloom scenario because you're saying you go from today to tomorrow, like Uber in India or like Zomato in India just brings in this technology and day after they launch. It just doesn't happen like that for multiple reasons. This is going to take, if I was putting a Kalshi bet or a poly market bet on this, 10 years before like there is even one big city in India that's fully driverless. In that process there's going to be a million new things that will show up because of, like if you think about AI today, it's creating new opportunities in bio, in pharma, in food, in blah blah blah. All of that is going to create new real life job opportunities that we can't think about. Those are all coming, and these people will naturally get absorbed. The question that I think is, again, which I'm not an economist, will be around, will there be inflation or deflation, right? So as Elon says, in this process robotics will make everything cheap. There will be deflation. We've not had deflation in our lifetime, and if deflation happens, what does that lead to? And from an economic perspective, nobody knows, right? It's very hard to model because no economist lives today that has actually lived through deflation in their current lifetime. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I'm not worried about job displacement.
There are about 450 people watching us on Cryptonite UAE at Bannon Square, and they all want to know about just one thing, right? I think what you said, is actually true, Amar, that we all are expecting things to be a lot more cheaper. Sam can agree to this since he's in China. Things are not really expensive there. Things are pretty reasonable. Getting a meal is, far more cheaper. Getting a coffee, like how we said, the world's most famous coffee, Luckin Coffee, is about 1.5 US dollars, which in India right now is 150 rupees because the dollar has gone to 100. And we all know that in India, you go to any coffee shop, I don't think you would get a cappuccino for 150 rupees. So the way the world is moving, it is supremely, in a way that is uncertain. But Amar, since you have two kids and congratulations on your second one, uh, how are you going to make them ready for this world?
So one of the things, and I mean, you are ahead of the curve. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. My genuine belief is, I think humans need to know more about what it means to be human, less know about what it means to, understand technology, because I think technology is a way to think around business and money, etc., etc., which is a secondary process. I think what we lost in India, especially as we were growing up, was the Vedic sciences, right? Like India, I think, had one of the most advanced civilizations in the world, and they spoke about, like, Buddha realized 2500 years ago that one human being is 30 plus trillion cells, right? And then it took 2500 years for the Western sciences to confirm this fact, and now the world goes around and says this. Every human being is 30 trillion cells, right? Now the difference between Buddha realizing this and the scientist who confirmed it and won a Nobel Award for it is that Buddha was a man full of bliss. The person who got the won the Nobel Award was actually full of anxiety and lived a life in depression. Same realization, different internal outcome. That is a very interesting thing to understand, right? Because human beings are very experiential. Everything is about what you experience. It doesn't matter what the reality is, right? We can sit here and debate about philosophy and talk about Marcus Aurelius and Zen philosophy and all the other, like Confucius, etc. Whatever we want to talk about, but if neither of us have that life experience, it means nothing, right? So when I think about my kids, my personal thought is, how do I embody them to understand what it takes to be joyful and blissful internally, right? And that is come what may. It doesn't matter outside. There is robots running around. There is apocalypse happening. Like we have the machinery built in us to live in a state of joy and bliss that God has given us, right? People just don't understand how to use it and how to make the most of it because we were trained in the wrong way when we grew up. So my only thinking is that if I can give them that right thinking process where they have the right awareness, then I think I would have done my job as a parent. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts around this.
Wow. Okay. So first thing that I want my kids to have, and they're working on it, is I tell them uh, that your words are the most important words that you speak to yourself, because most of us live in imposter syndrome. Most of us, for the lack of better words, sorry to my English audience, we live in our aukat. And I learned it very early that you only earn respect when you do something aukat ke bahar. For example, we have Sam with us. If Sam would have said, nothing bhai, just the same thing, uh, I, I, I don't think I would have invited him for this. I would have invited him for a different one, right? So you see that the words that you tell yourself is supremely important. In fact, right over here is the affirmations my kids have to say every day, 3 times a day, 3 times. So, matlab, like morning once 3 times, evening 3 times, and night 3 times. The reason being because there is so much of distraction that's going on. We will lose our core values very quickly. And they say that I got an idea. Nobody says I created an idea. Have you ever heard anybody, perhaps in any language, saying that मैंने एक idea बनाया है? Right? They say I got an idea. Ideas are like Wi-Fi routers. There is a receiver, there is a sender, and you get it. And the only way you can get it is by being at the at the right place at the right time. And how do you do that? By surrendering yourself. By surrendering yourself to that Almighty, to that power that will guide you. Because I'm sure we all have heard this phrase say, that goes, man proposes and God disposes. When I read it first, I'm like, what crap? Like, how is it possible? You know, like I felt betrayed because my upbringing was with all the Hindi movies, saying that अगर मैं कुछ करना चाहूँ तो मैं कर सकता हूँ. But then man proposes, God disposes is the truth. And not just for my kids, but for all the kids, I think parents should make sure that the kids are curious. Our curiosity was stopped by, a couple of slaps on the head, saying that do what is told to you. That is no longer applicable at all. In fact, you should do what is not told to you, so that you can explore things that is beyond your means. And there is something, in fact, now when I think of this, I had an opportunity to meet Sadhguru in Bangalore. I was with a very famous YouTuber. I don't want to name him because we are not good friends any longer. Uh, when I went there and we had a chat with him while we were going away, right? Like how somebody said, "Bye, take care," right? In that way, he said, "Hey, may your dreams never come true." I'm telling you guys, I'm a really passionate guy. I turned around and I gave him. I don't think anybody would have dared given him a look like that. But I did that. And then immediately he said, so that you can achieve beyond your dreams. So that kind of blew my mind, and very well said, because we can only dream very tiny, we can dream very little. The world is an infinite place, but with our kids, we need to make sure that let them be behind them, but let them be in a way that they can discover themselves. Now, Amar moved from India to Singapore, and Sam is Sam has a very interesting journey. And unfortunately, I don't know your journey. I actually want to bring Sam's journey over here. That he and his CTO would used to sit in the office, sleep in the office, get all the work done in the office. Just go down, because he got a lot of freebies to give away to his users who are running, walking, and doing this stuff. Sam, I don't want to take the glory away from you. I want you to tell us your story.
Um, we got featured on Cryptonites as well. It's like the Shark Tank of crypto. It was featured on Amazon Prime. So, we were quite fortunate to actually get featured, and we also got a deal, on that show. So, we basically had the BTS, and we had showed them that, success has many fathers, but, failure is an orphan. So, entrepreneurship is not all that glamorous that looks from outside.
There you go. This is
See, to be successful, you need to have good internet connection and a good VPN on it.
it's
Amar,
mic drop moment.
I know, I know. Amar, how was your journey? How from India to Singapore? Uh, क्या था?
Uh, so I like I think as with same with Sam, I was a chartered accountant. I was doing investment banking, which I started at 25. I realized it was less glamorous than I thought it would be. It's just a glorified sales job. And then I was like, "Chalo, tech karte hain. This must be more interesting." After a while, I realized, yeah, this is all, the same stuff. But you realize fast, right? Like the whole job in life to when so I've been driven by curiosity and by passion. Like that's my two key things, curiosity being the key one. So I was like, this seems interesting, let's chase the thing, right? So you live in the moment and make a decision. And then after a while I realized, I think in India, there's this thing. So I'm in Delhi. My dad calls it what's the called the 4 square kilometer radius life, which is his definition of luxury, which is, I think at his age and stage, which is fantastic. So his, house, office, club, friends, gurdwara, everything is within 4 square kilometers, right? Life is wonderful. And so he, in his, obviously out of love, thought that he was giving that to me, which is, I'm also giving you the opportunity to live within this comfort bubble, right? And I realized early that if I did that, I would shrivel rather than scale, right? And I think that's the thing with humanity, is that you have to, what you said earlier with kids, you have to go out there and try new things. If you don't try new things, you won't know what life is, right? So I kind of just realized that at some point, and I decided that it was time to move. And the company I was working with at that time, I said, yeah, like, listen, either you help me move to Singapore because our headquarters was here, or I'll find something else. And
But why
they like
Singapore?
me.
Wait. How can a Delhi guy go to Singapore and survive? Right? Singapore houses are fucking tiny, right?
Bro, no. I think so.
Everything you
Let
can
me.
order in Singapore. I'm sure in Delhi you drove a car, wherever you went, or you had a driver. They're like, come
Yeah.
on, dude.
So no. So I mean, I think the.
Like,
So
bro,
I.
who hurt you so much to move to Singapore?
So this is one of the things that I'd like to joke about all the time. Singapore is the best city in India to work in,
No, no,
and
no,
I
no.
think
You're wrong.
Dubai
You're
took
wrong. You're
over.
wrong. No, no, no. I'm
Dubai
not
now.
going to let you complete. It is India and not Singapore. Singapore can be the best city in south of India. Okay, because I'm a South Indian, but Dubai is the best city in India.
Yeah, yes. I was just saying. So Dubai is taken over. So I moved here 11 years back. 11 years back, Dubai was not where it is today. So now it's 100% Dubai. But back then, like I
Yeah,
think it
but
was.
not anymore. I think what's the current situation, Vaibhav? Is it better now? Are things all hunky dory, or still
So I
there's
think
pain?
Dubai. So I'll tell you, I was really scared, right, with so many kids and stuff, and I lived 10 minutes away from the Sharjah airport. I heard jets like we would hear supercars roaring in downtown and stuff like so often. Uh, but then I didn't see any panic, right, amongst people. See, panic is very contagious. laughter and like a lot of things. Nobody was panicking. Everybody was chill. A lot of work was happening as usual. I could go to the groceries, pick up stuff, no problem at all. I will tell you. In fact, the time, I think even Pavel, the Telegram founder, also said that, oh, you know what, when there were missiles going on, it was slightly better because there was less traffic. So, because a lot of people, were staying at home or they either left the country, but there is no problem at all. I was in Dubai. I've seen from my own eyes missiles being intercepted. Right? I'm not saying that somebody told me. I've seen it. My son and me, we were on the 56th floor at Internet City, and we like, and it actually looks like crackers, like fire, like fireworks. It is the best way that as an Indian I can describe it. We see fireworks, the rockets going up, and then we see that, and then we see two rockets going, and then okay, that's it. We don't even see smoke. We don't see anything because it's in the night and it's too dark, perhaps. So Dubai,
Yeah.
I think hats off to uh, to the UAE authorities. Hats off to the armed forces that I didn't feel unsafe for a minute with a family of eight that I am here in this country. I did not feel scared, or I didn't feel "Arey kya hoga," or what can happen. So I doubt that anybody else can uh, replicate that. And also, in all honesty, big fan of Singapore, big fan of Lee Kuan Yew. Uh, Singapore was the world's biggest graveyard and slum about 50 years ago. Majority of the citizens were addicted to opium, and prostitution was one of the main sources of revenue there, because the men were either laborers, and when they were doing labor jobs, they also got a big cash, and then they smoke a benches. That's why till today, Singaporean citizens, even outside of Singapore, cannot indulge themselves in drugs at all. They can be into a random search when they land into the country, and they can get barred. So, Singapore, the way it is developed, and the way it is
Your
separated.
voice is kind of going up and down now.
Muted.
It's become,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Suddenly just disappeared in the last 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I'll change my mic.
But
Okay,
I'll tell you honestly, guys.
China
You
का
know,
mic है,
Singapore.
China का mic है.
But I'll
there we
tell you
go.
one thing. You know, Singapore or Dubai. You know, the vibe is Mumbai. You know, I've stayed in Dubai. I've stayed in Singapore, but nothing like the vibe in Mumbai. You know, if given a chance, I would
Which
still.
which part of Mumbai? Mumbai is a
I
country on its
mean,
own.
yeah, yeah. Mumbai is a country on its own, but so is Dubai. I think Dubai also has
So,
a has a lot of parts. But I think Mumbai certainly, if you live in the suburbs and if you live, in south of Mumbai, life is pretty good. Except
To
the
each their
traffic
own.
and AQI, which
There you go.
is
Yeah.
never
Like,
going to chill.
what else will you ask for an exception,
But
right? Like Delhi life is also great. It's like my dad says, life of kings. I'm like, yeah, you step out, it's 800 AQI sometimes. So it's, I think
yeah,
it's that's the beauty of being human. To each their own. My brother
yeah,
lives in Dubai. Actually, he loves it. He's
okay,
never liked Singapore. I've never been a fan of Dubai. Like, I mean, it's a beautiful place. Kudos to them
yeah,
for doing what they've done. But I've just personally liked Singapore, and I think these are things that are hard to define, right? Like, I have friends who obviously are from Bombay and just love it, right? So
yeah,
they're old school guys who don't even like to say Mumbai, so they still say Bombay. So
Bombay,
it's,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned a very important point that we all love according to our convenience, and the way people and spaces around the world has evolved. Unfortunately, like what your father says, the 4 square kilometer land in Delhi, I think that's going to be true, because a lot of cities are working on a 15-minute city format, right? For example, in Bangalore, where I would used to stay near Shobha City, they have everything there. There's no reason to step out. I think it's the same thing with areas like downtown. That is similar with Shobha Heartland here in Dubai. Every thing is just going to be there. Of course, what we have seen and grown with. with those chai wala stalls, and friends coming and standing out on the streets and chatting and stuff. Amar, I think Amar is so rich that he's never gone to a chai wala thela to have tea.
Bro, desi chai, nothing beats it. And that's one of the things you
Yeah.
miss when you live in Singapore. But I think one of my genuine beliefs is that, there's two kinds of people: people who are awake and people who are asleep. And the world is run by people who are awake, and it's built for people who are asleep. So when you are, the way you become successful is that you find ways, right? Like social media is meant for people who are asleep. Same as these, like these kind of communities are meant for that, because you like, if I put you in a 4 square kilometer radius, you won't stay there. You'll be always looking to leave. It doesn't matter if it's there or not. So the person who is looking to be within the confines, they are happy there. They don't want to leave because they like the safety, they like the security, they like the surety of what that brings to them. But if you're kind of, like how, say, I guess three of us are, then you're interested in what's happening in the world. You're not going to be locked into a place. You're like, yeah, what's happening? Let's go out. Even if you get the everything in life within that area, you will still want to go out. You will choose the discomfort even if you have the comfort, right? So that's a very uh, that's not a common thing, right? Not every person is built for that, and not every person wants that.
Just to agree with you 100%. I want to tell everybody watching this that what Amar said, uh, at least Amar and Sam are living examples of it, because these guys are in a time zone which is 4 or 5 hours ahead of where I am.
I was just going to ask Amar,
Mm.
it's 1 o'clock even at your time, because it's almost one, and in the next 1 hour I have to actually catch a flight.
Uh, you know,
I have to go
we are,
sleep with my daughter, so it's
Oh yes,
mm.
yes, yes. So that's
The way the world is moving ahead. I have so many questions for them, right? I prepared a couple of questions while chatting with them, but the conversation moved so organically because a being friends, and b with the similar mindset of where we have grown and where we have moved. uh, I think we need to come back again, maybe in a couple of weeks, and maybe at a time zone that suits you all. I've been facing this issue with majority of the people from Southeast Asia, and I totally understand that. But my last question that I want to ask both of you, first I will take this to Amar, and I want to know, Amar, from you, is that whatever you're doing right now, right? Do you think the world is going to be a place like you have Roomba in a lot of households, right? Those small little uh, vacuum cleaners, come cleaners where you can like guide it and all of that. Do you think we will see that soon? The reason why I ask you this question is because Elon Musk actually mentioned that we will have a lot more humanoids than humans. The same thing goes with AI agents also. Uh, and do you think they will take over surgery? They will take over every single thing that you and I perhaps haven't even imagined. So AI is going to take away what we are doing on our laptops, and like the physical labor is gone. And now even the physical labor of going and getting things done, even that will go away in 10 years.
for sure. I mean, I think that's where the world is moving. The question is not if, the question is when. And I think majority of you know tech investments and guessing and everything in that system depends on the when part. Everybody has different models on what they would like to say. Elon likes to predict that it'll happen in 5 years. I think for humanoids being in every house is still 10, 15 years away, which is a long period in time, right? If you think 15 years ago, we were in 2011, the world was very different back then. So I think that's where the real question is, how long it will take. I think it's going to be 5 years before we see some real proliferation, 10 when you start seeing them everywhere, and 15 where it's like it's a new normal. And I think that's like a fairly long period within which a lot of changes will happen. But I can for sure say that it's already happening, right? Because AI has already become so prevalent, so easy, so complex that it can run on any device, that everything will have it, right? And the old vision of what we thought a IoT would do, AI is now doing, where you all your devices, if they have AI and they're all interconnected via Wi-Fi, then you have a true smart home, which people were talking about 20 years back, but didn't really play out the way we thought it would. But now that you have, which is MCP, which is, your model context protocol in some ways, where every model can connect to a certain API end. So where you define like these are my 100 devices, they all connect to each other. Everybody knows the context around it, so they know who Amar is. Then within my framework, all devices are intelligent, right? And if every device around me is intelligent, they know me, then the world is for me super intelligent, right? So that's, I think, the world that we're definitely entering into. And but yeah, I think it's still a while away before that becomes, one of those sci-fi movies become a reality.
Sam,
No,
you
I've been to China now, and I don't think, it's that far. That's the beauty, of traveling, because right now, I was at one of the healthcare, events, and an actual robot gave me a complete body massage. I have a video, so I was blown away. Now they have those laparoscopic operations completely done,
which I would love to
by a
hear.
robot. I would love to share, because I was actually going to buy that machine. So now I don't think, it's that far, and that's the scary part. That I feel that the adoption is going to be so fast that, very few people. Certainly, India will take some time, because India is a very diverse country. But I think more developed countries, especially, Singapore, China, all these guys are going to adopt things, especially China. I think China is prepared, and it's 20 years ahead. So they already have all cars electric. All their bikes are electric. Right now, our prime minister is saying that we need to travel less and use less oil. This is an excellent example. All the cars are EV here. And I had gone to one of my friends, a building. Every parking lot has a very concise, because I was very curious, how the hell do they charge so many cars? That's the main, problem in India. They have a very small, concise, charging unit. So even, bikes. So I think, things are much closer than they see. So I'm now trying to. That's why, travel and understand, what we can implement in India, because I think what China was 20 years ago, I think India has a huge opportunity, in terms of implementation, in terms of growth. And I think I'm going to learn a lot of things and try and implement it ASAP.
No, in fact, since you're landing tomorrow, maybe next week we should go on a live stream and actually break down your entire experience, right? Because I think a lot more people around the world should know about this. But Sam, my question to you is not what I asked Amar. My question to you is, since you are, have already bought the robotic arm, and you are going to set up a cafe in India, and I wish you all
Yes.
the very best for it. My question is, will you sell your coffee at a far more cheaper price than what a Coffee Day or a Starbucks will be
Absolutely.
selling?
It's going to be much cheaper. And the best part is, now you don't require any human labor. Plus, there is a lot of attraction, because that robot creates the entire coffee on its own. It can do creative art. You can also put your own picture. So there are a lot of unique things. Certainly, we are just taking one demo unit. We are not going to do it at a large scale initially, because India is a very price sensitive market. I think this can also work very well in Dubai, and also in Singapore.
It
So,
in Dubai, it's already on, like in events
it's
and
already
all.
on. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. So even
In
in China, they've put up in malls. So, but I think still, it's a greenfield, scenario right now. There are a lot many opportunities, in the robotic space, and that's why I'm very excited. I don't mind, trying something very unique. Even in gyms, you can open up these. I'm not exact robotic, but you have these protein vending machines. You have these fresh orange juice vending machines. So I think there is a lot of opportunity, and you can now also, with crypto, you can actually show, on the complete blockchain, where your food has come from, and how fresh it is. So I think that interaction, between AI and blockchain is going to be a game changer. Oh wow. This is exactly what I have purchased.
So I
Yeah,
hope
yeah,
it makes you a good cup of coffee and makes you a lot of money too. I wish you all the very
yeah.
best.
Let's see. I've placed an order, so right now I'm quite nervous. So let's see how it goes.
All the best, man.
You
All
know,
the best. All the best.
just as I'm ending the live stream, I want to tell you guys that if you are looking to be a founder, if you are looking to be a creator, you have to seek discomfort, like how Amar said. There are two guys over here with us. One who actually slept in his office and got things done, delivered things on his own, tried to figure out the tech, did everything from ground up. And today, you see him traveling the world on television with celebrities like Aman Gupta and celebrities like
We
Vaibhavv Ali.
we just did recently with Samay Raina also.
अरे
If you
खत्म
check my Instagram.
ये
Ah,
खत्म तो
yes,
हो
yes,
गया
Vaibhav.
punchline वैभव वाली
Sorry, sorry.
ऊपर.
Vaibhav Ali, sorry. Vaibhav Ali, yeah, he's my brother. I think I know Vaibhav now for a very long time.
Yeah.
I met him first time in Bangalore when I knew nothing about crypto. And so, he's always been there. And he's seen my journey. I've seen his journey. So I think uh,
In fact,
it's
let me tell you that his hustle, even after founding, uh, what is your last valuation of Growfitter?
25.
$25 million. He was spotted in taking a bus in the UAE, in Dubai. And when I asked him, "Pagal hai kya? Why?" He's like, "Why? It's not needed." So if any VCs are watching this, you guys talk about being frugal. You guys talk about taking care of investors' money. Sam right here is doing that, and
Yeah. I'd met Vaibhav's friend in the bus. He's like, "Tu kya kar raha hai?" I was like, "It's cheaper, yaar. I mean, the cab is very expensive in Dubai. I can't afford a cab." And so,
no, which is nonsense,
yeah,
by the way. And like he
yeah,
can't afford a cab and all of that. So my friend told me that, "Arey, I met your friend." I'm like, "Which
yes,
friend?" अरे वो बॉडी है वो he wasn't able to remember his name. I said, dude, I don't know who you're talking about. And then he
yeah,
said, अरे ऐप उस ऐप है ना. I said, सारे सबका ऐप और डैप है. Like, कौन है तू? कौन है? This is Sam. I'm like, which
yeah.
right? Well, I couldn't believe it. Right? I
Hmm.
couldn't believe it that he's talking about Sam, but kudos to him.
Yeah.
And
No,
Amar,
we've been very, very frugal, and that's why we have survived, all the bear markets. Even now, we are surviving because we have seen this same story, in the past. And most of these, so-called, startups, crypto startups tend to bury under the ground in bear markets. But we have seen that time and again. That's why I think that's a good approach.
and ending this with Amar, that leaving his comfortable household with the hunger. He hasn't told us in detail, but the way he explained, I know approximately from which part of Delhi he comes from. And the lavish lifestyle, because in Delhi people just don't go out randomly, they go out with protocol, which means that they have bodyguards, they have drivers, they have a pilot car, and they have a security car, and all of that. And for someone living a lifestyle of that sort, leaving it, coming to Singapore, uh, believe me, because Singapore is very tough, because a lot of things happen in Delhi saying that तू जानता है मेरा बाप कौन है. But in Singapore, it doesn't
Singapore
matter.
sabka baap hai.
If
Yeah.
the bap still is, will happen the way it has to happen. So kudos to both of you. But before we leave, one thing, Sam, can you check your Telegram message? Can you check my last Telegram message to you, or second
One
last?
second.
Hmm.
1 second. यहाँ पे क्या
I
है
just want to
टेलीग्राम.
end this on a bit fun note.
Yeah.
One
November
second.
15th, you send me a message.
Is it? So sorry. Let me just check.
Read it out to us.
Legal enough to have a drink with you in
मैंने
Mumbai
ऊपर ऊपर
tomorrow
समझा,
evening.
ऊपर समझा.
Okay. Uh, fire
No, no,
at home.
your message
Acha.
to me.
Finally, you have turned 21.
Uh,
No. Yeah.
read properly. So 15th November was my birthday. He wishes me
Yeah.
happy birthday. And he said, "How
Yeah.
old are you?" Like that 21 thing. And then I said, "I'm legal enough to have a drink with you in Mumbai tomorrow."
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't recollect. I didn't
I
read that
was in
message.
Mumbai then.
Oh fuck. I'm so sorry, bhai. I didn't read that. I thought that you had just said you were jokingly replying. So to
No,
phone
Didn't
karna
even see
tha
the
yaar.
message.
I mean,
Don't
no,
don't
yeah, yeah.
push it.
Maybe
No,
I'm so
you didn't
sorry.
even see that message because when I
I
was
did.
sending you the link today, I got to know
No,
that I
that
was.
message I missed. I don't know. Somehow I missed. So I'm really sorry. But
This
next
is
time you
called
come to
public
Mumbai,
shaming. The privilege of having your own channel. I love it. I need to become a content
yeah,
creator so I
but
can do this to
seriously,
whoever I want
man,
to take down. I'm going to invite them
this
and be
guy
like,
can, and that too of
He was
November.
serious
November
with
ke
me.
baad he never messaged, and he had the
true.
audacity now to tell me mera message nahi pada.
हाँ फिर?
No, I love it. Yeah, it's called
Love
the
it, love
privilege
it.
of
This is
being a
Vaibhav.
celebrity.
Yeah.
But guys, there are two good things that happened in this stream. One, we spoke our hearts out. Nothing was scripted. Nobody got any questions. Nothing. It was a free flow. And we spoke about topics that perhaps are even more important than my questions here in one way. The second is we will come back with a better, more structured, without going away from our key questions to know in what space and more details about it. So thank you everybody, everyone for joining us. Uh, this has been really amazing. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, guys.